If I can't legally justify using force, my use of self-defense could land me in jail. The reality is, if I use physical force to resolve a situation, the cops are going to be involved. Reports are going to get written, and things could easily escalate to court battles, prosecution, and jail time. So if I choose to go active with physical force, I'm going to have to justify those actions in a legal framework and probably do it under intense pressure and stress. Legal self-defense is proving that you used the minimal amount of force you reasonably believe is necessary to resolve a situation. We can't simply just say, I believed my life was in danger, and so I did this and that. We have to articulate why we believed our life was in danger. So here's a model that we can use to explain and justify our use of force. We have to be able to take a chaotic, messy situation and make it make sense to law enforcement. So we're going to use the acronym IMOP. And we start with I, intent. Did the threat have intent? What did they do exactly that made you think that they would harm you? Maybe the threat said, I'm going to kill you, or maybe you were being isolated or cornered. Maybe they pointed a weapon at you. We have to be able to explain their intent. How did they demonstrate it? Next we have M, means. Just because someone had the intent doesn't mean they have the ability. A toddler might be really, really angry at you because you didn't give them a cookie. They want to hurt you, but that's why they make them small. So they didn't have the means. Were they capable of harming you? Were weapons present? Did the person have the size and capability to harm you? See, someone large with a weapon has a lot more explaining to do than, say, someone small without a weapon. Next is O, opportunity. Did they have access to you? So say someone with a knife threatening you on the other side of a fence, a tall chain link fence, you are not justified to shoot them because they do not have access to you. And finally, P, proportionate. Was the amount of force we used proportionate to the danger? Did we respond with the lowest level of force possible? And this would include walking away. If we were able to avoid, escape, or de-escalate, but we didn't, and we chose instead to engage with the person, then in the eyes of the law, it would be considered a mutual fight. There are consequences for damaging another human being. So could you justify your actions and explain to a jury why a lower level of force would not have worked? The court system is not on your side. They are not your friends, and they don't care about you. Criminal courts determine if a crime was committed. A prosecutor will try to prosecute, and they might offer you a plea deal to plead guilty. And if you decide to fight the prosecutor because you are sure it was clear self-defense, well, then you're going to have a very expensive uphill battle. The prosecutor wants a good record of convictions, and they are a professional debater. Can you afford to hire someone to defend you? Can you articulate your case in a legal framework better than a career prosecutor can articulate his case against you? So when claiming self-defense, you are confessing that you committed a crime. You assaulted somebody, and you are asking the courts to dismiss criminal sanctions because the assault was justified. So in self-defense, you are not innocent until proven guilty. You are admitting guilt to assaulting somebody. And now the onus is on you to prove that it was justified. Again, can you prove assault was the only option that you had to keep yourself and others from harm? So the IMOP formula is assuming that you did not do anything to contribute to the situation. If you did, then that will all be used against you. Even if your Facebook page had a hint of malice or glorification of firearms or violence or threats in any form, it will be used against you. If you had any alcohol in your system during the assault, a prosecutor could use that to say that you could not reason, so it could not have been reasonable force. So in the end, it doesn't even matter what actually happened. What matters is what the prosecuting attorney can get a jury to believe. And maybe people on that jury hate you. Maybe they hate guns. Maybe you remind them of their ex. Maybe you have a past and they know about it. So remember that you will have to pay for all of this, and it will probably cost more than you make in a year. But let's say you survive all of that and you hope that your spouse hasn't left you and you still have a home and a job and you are found not guilty. So next, even though you were found not guilty because it was justified self-defense, you still might have to face civil courts. This seems unbelievable, but your attacker can sue you for punitive damages, medical bills, lost wages, and even if you're not convicted of the crime, you can be held liable for damages that you caused. And again, the cost. Even if you win the case, it's expensive to defend yourself in civil court. Most people just settle so that they can move on with their lives. I mean, it really is crazy to think that right after facing the most traumatic experience of your life that you didn't volunteer for, didn't ask for, didn't want, your future after that traumatic event can be determined because of what you say to the police while you were adrenalized and traumatized. So if you find yourself in that kind of situation, in that place where you're not in your right mind at all and you just experienced trauma, let the police know that you will cooperate and even point out some evidence, maybe like a dropped weapon or shell casings or witnesses that saw what went down. But beyond that, let them know that you do not wish to speak at this time. They should understand, because even law enforcement doesn't have to give a report for like 72 hours after a shooting they experienced. So it really is reasonable to ask for a little bit of time to collect yourself before you give a report. This is what we want to say to the police. Write it down like on a business card so it's in your wallet with your attorney's phone number on it. Just say this, write it down. I will cooperate fully in the presence of my attorney. I do not wish to say anything now for fear of a civil suit. Then just shut up and lawyer up. So in conclusion, the legal aftermath of self-defense can have huge consequences, and it needs to be navigated carefully. Practice articulating the legal parameters of self-defense. How did they show intent? In what way did they have means? Did they have opportunity and access to you? And explain how you couldn't walk away and you were given no other options.